African Union Communications Early Warning and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership, and AU armed forces. I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command in combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing on the progress of the special military operation as of August 28, 2025. Last night, the armed forces of the Russian Federation delivered a group strike with high-precision long-range air-based weapons, including hypersonic aeroballistic Kinzhal missiles, and strike unmanned aerial vehicles on military-industrial complex enterprises and military airbases of Ukraine. The strike objectives were achieved. All designated targets were hit. Units of the North Group of troops inflicted damage on formations of 2 mechanized, motorized infantry, ranger, assault brigades, airborne assault, and 2 assault regiments of the Armed Forces of Ukraine in the areas of the settlements Golubovka, Varakino, Pavlovka, Stepno, Kondratovka, Novaya Sek, Mariino, and Unikovka in the Sumy region. In the Kharkiv direction, damage was inflicted on units of mechanized, motorized infantry brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the Territorial Defense Brigade, and the Border Detachment of the Ukrainian Border Service in the areas of the settlements of Vashki, Volchansk, and Ambarno in the Kharkiv region. The enemy lost over 180 servicemen, 5 armored combat vehicles, 12 cars, an artillery gun, 2 ammunition depots, and 7 supply depots. Units of the West Group of troops improved their tactical position. They inflicted damage on personnel and equipment of 2 mechanized, assault brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements Kupiansk, Bogoslavka, Borovska and Drivka in the Kharkiv region, Stavki and Kirovsk in the Donetsk People's Republic. Losses of the Armed Forces of Ukraine amounted to up to 235 servicemen, 3 armored combat vehicles, 22 cars, and an artillery gun. 4 electronic warfare stations and 2 ammunition depots were destroyed. As a result of decisive actions by units of the South Group of troops, the settlement of Nelipovka in the Donetsk People's Republic was liberated. Damage was inflicted on formations of 6 mechanized, airmobile, mountain assault, and assault brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine in the areas of the settlements Seversk, Fedorovka, Konstantinovka, and Dranovka in the Donetsk People's Republic. The Armed Forces of Ukraine lost up to 205 servicemen, 1 armored combat vehicle, 5 pickups, 2 field artillery guns, 2 ammunition depots, and 1 supply depot. Units of the Center Group of troops took more advantageous lines and positions. They inflicted damage on personnel and equipment of 2 mechanized, infantry, ranger, 2 assault, 2 airborne assault brigades, 2 assault regiments of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a Marine Brigade, a Territorial Defense Brigade, and 3 National Guard brigades in the areas of the settlements Krasnoarmysk, Dmitrov, Derozno, Belitskoy, and Rodinsko in the Donetsk People's Republic. Losses of Ukrainian armed formations amounted to more than 410 servicemen, a German-made Leopard tank, 3 armored combat vehicles, 6 cars, and an artillery gun. Units of the East Group of troops continued advancing deep into the enemy's defense. They inflicted damage on formations of 2 mechanized brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, a Marine Brigade, and a Territorial Defense Brigade in the areas of the settlements Vorono in the Dnipropetrovsk region, Kamysheva in the Donetsk People's Republic, and Levadno in the Zaporizhia region. The enemy lost up to 240 servicemen, 7 cars, and 2 field artillery guns, including a U.S.-made 155mm M198 howitzer. Units of the Dnipro Group of troops inflicted damage on personnel and equipment of mechanized, mountain assault brigades, a coastal defense brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements Novoandrievka, Pavlovka, Veselyanka, Primorskoye in the Zaporizhia region, Nikolskoye, and Antonovka in the Kherson region. The Armed Forces of Ukraine lost up to 55 servicemen, a U.S.-made HMMWV armored vehicle, 12 cars, and 5 field artillery guns. 8 electronic warfare stations, a counter-battery radar station, an ammunition depot, and 4 supply depots were destroyed. Operational tactical aviation, strike unmanned aerial vehicles, missile troops, and artillery of the Russian Armed Forces groupings have struck ammunition depots and unmanned aerial vehicles, as well as temporary deployment points of Ukrainian armed formations and foreign mercenaries in 153 districts. Using a high-speed unmanned boat at the mouth of the Danube River, a strike was delivered on the Ukrainian Navy's medium reconnaissance ship Simferopol. As a result of the attack, the Ukrainian ship sank. Air defense means shot down a Su-27 aircraft of the Ukrainian Air Forces, 2 guided aerial bombs, 2 rocket projectiles of the U.S.-made Mars multiple launch rocket system, and 192 fixed-wing unmanned aerial vehicles. In total, since the start of the special military operation, destroyed 666 aircraft, 283 helicopters, 80,018 unmanned aerial vehicles, 625 anti-aircraft missile systems, 24,831 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 1,588 multiple launch rocket system combat vehicles, 29,005 field artillery guns and mortars, 40,547 units of special military automotive equipment. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.